Welcome to the Geek 101 podcast, episode 216, D23 2019. I'm Mario Rada.
And I'm Andy Bowman.
All right, today we are going to go over all of the crazy news that has come out of the Disney convention D23, which happened in the August 23rd to August 25th weekend. We're going to start off with Star Wars news. And Andy, why don't you top us off here, or start us off here?
Okay. Well, the big reveal is here. Star Wars, Rise of the Skywalker. We finally have confirmation that Kerry Russell is going to be in it.
Right, so we know there were rumors that Kerry Russell was in it. We currently don't know her role. Is this correct?
Her role is an old, criminal friend of Poe's.
Poe Dameron, okay.
I forgot the name.
I have the name here, Zori Bliss.
Yeah. She said that she's playing kind of a badass old criminal acquaintances of Poe's.
Yeah, so I think we saw some of her costume and some of the other footage from her, if I'm not mistaken. So if you saw the Rise of Skywalker footage and you saw an unknown kind of masked criminal-looking, Star Wars outlaw, that was Kerry Russell.
Okay. I'm pretty cool with her being in it. She's awesome, so.
Yeah. What were your overall thoughts on The Last Jedi?
Okay. The Last Jedi is an amazing movie that is not a great Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there.
I will defend The Last Jedi as being a good movie because it is a good movie, and everyone who thinks differently is wrong. But it does a lot of things, and I understand why a lot of fans are upset.
Yeah, see, there are a few things here or there that I don't think make it like a great movie. There are a few things that make it like a really good movie. Like the cinematography and the photography and are really cool. Like the imagery is really cool. But some of the script and and some of the acting is really bad. I think specifically what's his name? Benicio del Toro. I was like, what are we doing here? Like, it was such a strange thing to have in a film. The Last Jedi was divisive, no doubt. I think The Rise of Skywalker will be just that. Oh, no. I think it'll be almost as divisive. I think most of the people who really love The Last Jedi probably won't like this film because this film is going to be a reaction to The Last Jedi. Am I making sense here?
Right. You are correct that it's going to be a reaction. However, I think a lot of people are going to like this movie. I think this movie is going to be very, very well received.
Okay. I think J.J. Abrams is going to undo or take these characters in a direction that Rian Johnson, in an opposite direction that Rian Johnson wanted to take them, which is kind of fitting because that's what Rian Johnson did to J.J. Abrams' characters from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. No matter, I don't care what people say, you cannot tell me that Rian Johnson liked what J.J. Abrams did in The Force Awakens. It's like you can tell he didn't want to pick up any of those plot points, and he just dismissed all of them, right?
Right. See, and I don't think it did a good job in being like, we're going against your reactions. I think that Rian Johnson's script was a reaction to what the fans were talking about, what the fans were focusing on, and him wanting to just, quote unquote, subvert expectations on the fans and what those theories were.
It's like the most aesthetically pleasing troll job ever.
Right. It's
because the Poe Dameron stuff with Laura Dern, I think some of the Luke Skywalker stuff, some of the stuff with Rose, it was all like you're right, it was like a direct response to some of the criticisms. But yeah, it was just it didn't pick up any of the threads, or it didn't kind of it didn't go along with the mystery box that JJ had set up. And we know now, I believe that Rian Johnson was like, he's come out and said that they didn't have a plan for 7, 8, and 9. They didn't have an overarching plan for the 3 movies. And ultimately, that's not his fault. He's making a movie with his sensibilities and not kind of adhering to a larger plan. Now, if the plan came out if a report came out and that Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams had this like awesome 3-movie trilogy that they wanted this to follow, this was the story with Rey, this was the story with Poe, this is the story with Finn. Oh gosh, I haven't seen either of those movies since The Last Jedi came out. Like that would make like, and he did this, then like that'd be kind of messed up. But like you can't blame him for wanting to make the movie he wants to make. So, and now
right, which is why I have high hopes for his trilogy that he's working on.
I'll probably like that better than I'm looking at the Rise of the Skywalker freaking Wikipedia page and it's messing me up. I'm going to minimize it. I liked Looper well enough when I watched it, but I have to rewatch it now to figure out if this is just a filmmaker I don't vibe with, which is completely plausible and completely reasonable reaction. But yes, Rise of Skywalker, I think if we're going to get a criticism of Rise of Skywalker, it's going to be the same exact criticism we got with The Force Awakens, where it's like, hey, you're kind of just redoing this. Although the trailer looks really great.
Yeah. So I'm very like that trailer. I saw it. That's probably the only bit of like visual media that I'm going to consume purposefully. That's
what I did for The Last Jedi. Like I went into that movie pretty blind.
Yeah, I'm. So because our beautiful movie theaters now have reserved seating, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I tend to show up about half an hour into the showtime because that first half hour is always just previews. So hopefully I'll be able to actually avoid seeing any more trailers. I don't want to know anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm sold. They have my ticket. I don't need any more ruined for me.
Yeah, I get that. Let's move on to another Star Wars piece of news. Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian is coming to D23. This show, along with all other Disney Plus original content, will be released weekly and not all at once. So I'm curious how these shows are going to hold up in there. We also got the trailer for The Mandalorian. Andy, what did you think about this trailer?
Dude, I was psyched. This trailer, the way it opens up with all the stormtroopers' heads on spikes.
Yeah, you really get a sense of the outer rim of the galaxy with that kind of setting.
Right, and like we don't even see we don't see Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I'm curious as to whether or not they're going to keep such a high-profile guy beneath the mask. It really, really worked in Dredd with Karl Urban, so perhaps.
Yeah, and I don't know if Pedro Pascal is really that high-profile.
Sure, but he's also really, really charming.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to have him take off the mask at any point, I think that there are other more physically inclined actors to put in that role.
Right. But also, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't have him take off the mask. You know, like once you've got people watching, it's not like Dredd where he's always, doing something. He's always fighting, he needs the mask, he needs the helmet to protect him.
Right.
There's going to be some moments of humanity here where he's going to have to take the mask off.
Yeah, this is let's assume it's an 8 episode, I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. Let's assume it's, 8 episode season. It's not a 2-hour movie set in a singular building, right? So that's a totally different vibe than Dredd was.
Right. And speaking back to this weekly release schedule, I think this is one of the smartest things that Disney can do to establish their platform.
I agree with you there. It forces... go ahead.
Well, when Netflix had first announced the 4, Marvel series, and that they were all going to be 13 episodes, I said to myself, okay, 13 episodes, they can do 4 of those in a year and release it once a week, and every week we're going to have 1 episode of a Marvel show. Mm-hmm. With this, I think we aren't going to have a week pass, unless it's like a Christmas or a holiday, without a Star Wars or a Marvel show being added to Disney Plus. 1 episode.
Yeah, and what this also does is kind of prevent those short-term audiences where, hey, I'm going to get Disney Plus for a month, and then I'm going to wait 2 months and maybe get it for another singular month to watch all of this or all of this, right? So I know people who will, like CBS Access, for example, to watch Star Trek. They will get CBS Access for a month, they'll watch all the Star Trek, cancel it, and then come back for a singular month later on. If you want to be caught up, if you want to avoid spoilers, if you want to do all these things, you're going to have to be locked into Disney Plus for months and months and months.
Right. I think that's brilliant of them. I think it's great to just make that happen. Plus, they're doing multiple series at the same time. So, what is it? On the 12th, when they really start out, they're coming out with their heavy guns. They got The Mandalorian, which probably has the most hype behind it. But they also have the holiday movie with Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader. Mm-hmm. They've got the live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp. They've got... High School Musical, the TV series.
Right.
This is seems to be a bit of a solid lineup, and of course, they have the best possible thing that they could have done, I believe, and announced the Lizzie McGuire sequel series. They decided that Lizzie McGuire was so yesterday and she deserves another chance.
Yes, the dreams might be fulfilled, and this is what dreams are made of, the Lizzie McGuire series. Going back to The Mandalorian, we know that Ming-Na Wen, who you may not know her name, but you would recognize her face in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as Agent May. And
her voice.
And her voice from the 1998 classic Mulan. So she is a formidable on-screen martial artist. Not quite, I don't know about her if she has competition, but she is certainly well-versed in that art. We know that Werner Herzog and Carl Weathers and who else here? Giancarlo Esposito, who are all character actors, and you would see them in various shows. Giancarlo Esposito is in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Carl Weathers you probably know from Predator and Rocky. And Werner Herzog probably in a bunch of German stuff as a bad guy, traditionally.
Yeah.
Go on.
And Werner Herzog you might also know as amazing documentary filmmaker of the most depressing documentaries I've ever seen. Like, he did a documentary called Grizzly Man. He did one about the internet. I don't know. Werner Herzog is just he's such a weirdo, and I love him. I really love him.
All right. We also have IG-11, which is a robot bounty hunter that I think we see is partnered up with The Mandalorian. He will be voiced by Taika Waititi.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Taika is also directing, I think, 2 episodes of this.
Yeah, at least one. I don't know how many. Taika Waititi is so funny and charming as a voice. You just put him in anything, right? In any fun thing that you need some like breath of fresh air, and he'd be good in. So he'll be playing a robot bounty hunter.
Go on. Also, Werner Herzog admitted that he's never seen a Star Wars movie.
I believe it. I mean, he doesn't look like he watches conventional films. All right.
It just makes me laugh so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do this.
Next up, we have a Rogue One prequel series. We know that it's going to exist. We know that they're going to start filming. Do you think this is a good idea, Andy?
I think this is a really good idea because it's Diego Luna and Alan Tudyk together as some kind of buddy series. I think that they need to name it just Rogue.
Okay, that's a good idea. Star Wars Rogue. Our friends over at Mad About Movies have a vendetta against Diego Luna. I don't know why. It's Richard. Richard, you don't listen to this show, but Brian, if you're listening, tell Richard that he's hilarious with his Diego Luna vendetta. I am not quite sure that like this is the one series that I'm just like, man, like, do we really need this one? I think Rogue One is very good. I don't think I need more time with those characters is really the concern here.
Well, I think that they're trying to show kind of draw Han Solo out into its own, from a movie to its own series. And this would be the way to do it. This is the character who's probably most like Han. If you want just a kind of smuggler / morally ambiguous character to follow around and not be a immediately intimidating walking arsenal like the Mandalorian, this is probably the character to do it of.
Yeah, I get that. All right, let's move on to the last piece of Star Wars news. And I have been cradled in my bed crying tears of joy ever since the news came out, was announced officially. Ewan McGregor is reprising his role as the immortal Obi-Wan Kenobi in a Disney Plus series.
Now, I'm not very familiar with this character, Ariel.
How dare you? No, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably my favorite on-screen character ever. I've had more favorite characters or characters I'd prefer, let's say like Wolverine or characters in literature or comic books or whatever, but kind of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi experience and Ewan McGregor and his kind of like hard line in the sand. I'm fighting for good, and I'll strike down my brother if I have that's so me as a character. Like, man, he was so good. He was a beacon of hope in a dark, dark time for Star Wars fans.
Now, Ariel, what do you have to say about the rumor that this is just going to be a rehash of the Xbox launch game Obi-Wan?
I don't care. I don't care what it is. I think Ewan McGregor is so good in this role and so committed to being able to do the lightsaber fights. Like, him and Hayden Christensen were going at it. Like, if you watch the behind the scenes for Revenge of the Sith, I don't know if you have, Andy.
Oh, I definitely have.
That Mustafar site, like the Mustafar battle, the lightsaber battle, they were they were the ones doing the sword fighting because they wanted those really awesome close up shots. They wanted such great believability. If the character wasn't doing a flip, it was one of those two guys. So I think he's a great actor. He's so committed. He loves the role, and apparently he learned this from Liam Neeson, where Liam Neeson just wouldn't take George Lucas's acting notes and just decided to do his own thing in Phantom Menace. And as a result, that's why he's so much better. That's why he stands out in that film. And by Revenge of the Sith, Ewan McGregor had grown as an actor that he wouldn't listen to George either. That he wouldn't take acting notes anymore as Obi-Wan. And if you look at him in Revenge of the Sith compared to him in Attack of the Clones, it's night and day. He's just so much better. And now Ewan McGregor, I would wager, is a better actor. He is still quite young to be able to do some of the more taxing physical lightsaber stuff. I just think that I think that of all the things we're going to see in deep Disney Plus. I think this has the lowest percentage of the lowest likelihood to fail.
Right. I will say, anyone who likes Ewan McGregor and has not checked out Haywire from 2011, really do yourselves a favor and watch that movie. It's a great action movie, and he's just fantastic in it.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen it, but I'll take a look.
Yeah. It's the Steven Soderbergh, Gina Carano movie.
Well, Gina Carano, I believe, is in The Mandalorian as well.
But Haywire just has an all-star cast from, Michael Fassbender, Channing Tatum, Antonio Banderas, Bill Paxton.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking here.
It's a spy thriller, and it has some intense action scenes.
All right, so check that out, Haywire, if you're an Ewan McGregor fan. Steven Soderbergh makes good films, generally speaking. Okay, I think that's all we have for Star Wars. Let's move on.
Ariel.
Yes.
What about the Lizzie McGuire Star Wars crossover?
Star Wars crossover? Instead of... It's the cartoon, like her cartoon self, but it's like... instead it's her as like a Jedi or a Sith or something.
Right, and, she's just... why not, Ariel? Why not?
Yeah, why not take a second chance with the Lizzie McGuire show? Okay, all right. Let's move on to the Marvel shows. I didn't see it, but I've seen clips and pictures of it. We got Black Widow footage at D23, so some lucky attendees were able to see it. I believe in the scene, Scarlett Johansson goes up against the other Black Widows that are going to be in the film that are going to be introduced. We have, I think the character's name is Yelena Belova, who's being played by...
Wasn't it Pugh?
Florence Pugh, fresh out of Midsummer. Fresh out of Midsummer, so she's going to be... You see her fight Scarlett Johansson's character. Florence Pugh will also be in Little Women, which was being directed and written by Greta Gerwig, and a lot of people are really excited about that. We have a poster for Black Widow. You see David Harbour in his... What's the character's name?
Red Guardian?
Red Guardian. You see him in the Red Guardian kind of garb or cowl. And you kind of see the Taskmaster's, generic bad guy, cool bad guy face on the back there.
Right. I mean, they really don't have to do much more with the Taskmaster as far as the face. Like that... He's wearing a mask that you can't really do too much more with that. What do you think about her costume?
It's fine. I mean, it's an interesting kind of thing here where they have to make this costume. They have to make it distinct, right? They can't just. There's a billion different Black Widow costumes, but after a certain point, you can only get so unique in terms of a sleek black suit. Right.
I will remark that it does kind of look a little bit like the X-Men costumes from the 2000s.
Yeah, it kind of does. I'm interested as to how the other Black Widows are going to be dressed as well. And the Taskmaster, of course. I hope we do get to see the... I hope he has like a skull pattern on his face or something. That'd be really cool. But the fight choreography is going to make or break this film. If you're going to include Taskmaster and you don't have good fight choreography, like shame on you, then you shouldn't be making this movie.
Right. Well, you can see Taskmaster does have the skull teeth on his mask.
Okay, I'm trying to pull up where I saw that. There we go. There it is. Okay, yeah. I don't like the Black Widow. The Black Widow costume. He does have the skull teeth. The Black Widow costume, it does fit that Civil War era or Marvel Civil War era that they're in that moment. So yeah, sure.
All right. Yeah, I don't think there's too much more to talk about that. I'm not going to see any of the unofficial footage because I don't want to see any of the unofficial footage.
Yeah, I get that. I just saw stills which everyone said that the fighting was impressive in there. So there's that. We have a bunch of D23 or Disney Plus TV shows. We of course have WandaVision, which we know has a 50s vibe. We have a poster with Paul Bettany's character Vision and Elizabeth Olsen's character Scarlet Witch sitting on a couch in 50s, 50s suburbia and 50s costuming.
But Ariel, what's that in the poster? Is that a cartoon version of Lizzie McGuire up in the upper left?
No. It does appear to be something or someone wearing the traditional Scarlet Witch crown. Alternatively, some have suggested that perhaps it's Mephisto, and that's what ties the show into the Doctor Strange and the Mountains of Madness or Multiverse of Madness type thing.
I think it's the first.
I would agree with you there. I don't think they do the Mephisto thing. I think Wanda is trying to. She figures out a way to use her nondescript nonsense powers to kind of fracture the multiverse and bring back Vision. And of course, maybe it is Mephisto. Maybe they kind of do that little bit of visual ambiguity. There we go, to make it be either. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool if we see Wanda with her traditional costume or version of it.
Oh yeah, I think even if it's just a dream moment, we will see that. I'm pretty stoked about this. I'm also stoked about the casting announcements they've made for this.
Yeah, you can go ahead and share that with the audience.
All right, so we've got Kat Denning, hilarious lady from Two Broke Girls and the first two Thor movies. We've got Catherine Hahn, who's also very funny, but the big one for me, Randall Park. Yeah. I loved his character in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, he was great in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's a really, really funny actor. I love him in Always Be My Maybe over on Netflix. But a welcome addition to a welcome return to the MCU.
Right. Yeah, this could be really interesting seeing his character have to interact with a constantly changing world.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Where we have announcements for a trio of Disney Plus shows, limited series.
That are Phase 4. These are Phase 4 series.
Right, these are Phase 4. The first one is She-Hulk. Andy, how do you feel about She-Hulk?
Okay, so I do not know much about She-Hulk, except that She-Hulk was created in an attempt to stop, I think it's Universal who was creating, or maybe ABC, who's creating the Incredible Hulk TV series. There was some weird legal thing, and they created She-Hulk really quickly to prevent them from making a female Hulk character and then copywriting it.
Interesting.
But I also know she's a kick-ass lawyer.
Yeah, so the character of She-Hulk is Jennifer Walters, who traditionally is Bruce Banner's cousin. She is caught in she has collateral damage in a fight that the Hulk is a part of. She needs a blood transfusion really quick, and Bruce Banner knows from previous history and family history that he shares a blood type, and so in a pinch he gives her blood, and she, being a genetic match of sorts, has the power to become the She-Hulk from that.
Right. Okay. I've got this whole thing. So she was created because the Bionic Woman was a spinoff of the $6 Million Man.
Okay.
And Marvel was afraid that they would make a female version of the Hulk in order to spin her off into her own series and basically have no control over it, because ABC would have been the one who made that female version of the Hulk.
Right. Interesting. Right. It's funny how kind of legal matters can push creative endeavors. Traditionally, She-Hulk comic books are like really, really jokey. And so like a lot of stuff happens in them that wouldn't happen in, let's say, an Avengers book. So expect a really fun, goofy comedy show and not like a action drama legal procedural show. Unfortunately, this is the trouble that the MCU is currently facing, where movies like Spider-Man, which are supposed to be comedic and lighthearted and do things for laughs, but they affect the larger universe and affect how other, like, have consequences in other films. And for example, I'm going to use the Edith glasses in Far From Home, which this is this insane, like, Tony Stark setup of like drones and WMDs and irresponsible use of power and handing it to a teenager, right? Like, if this was an Avengers movie, like, it'd be really, really serious, and there would be like powerful people in a room talking about Tony's incredible lack of foresight and irresponsibility. But in Spider-Man, it's funny. And so I think we've reached the point in the MCU where it's becoming too unwieldy that you can't have these serious dramas and harping on what happens in other films when some of your films aren't taking it as seriously as your main films.
Right. And I want to say that the idea of them doing a She-Hulk series is, I think it's brilliant because of the crossover potential. Like, just imagine Falcon or Winter Soldier having to deal with a legal issue.
Here's my thing. Imagine she is, let's say, a junior district attorney, and she has to go to court, and the lawyer across from her at the table when they meet is a very well-known guilt-ridden Catholic schoolboy type lawyer.
Oh, I was thinking a prosecutor. I named Mark Spector.
Mark Spector is not traditionally a lawyer. I don't believe. He's a mercenary.
See, now I'm looking it up because I seem to remember him being a lawyer in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics.
Oh, I mean, maybe, but he's not in the main, comics.
Right.
That'd be really interesting. So let's use that to move on to the next show that was announced. We have Moon Knight. And so Moon Knight, I have a little... no, I didn't write about this. But I will. I'm going to post a video on it because Moon Knight is one of the very obscure Marvel characters. Basically, a man named Mark Spector is a former U.S. Black Ops guy, whatever, working a mercenary job in ancient Egypt when people are digging up a temple and stealing artifacts, whatever. He is shot and killed at the body, or is shot and killed in the temple of Khonshu in Egypt, and the Egyptian god Khonshu comes out and resurrects him and makes him an avatar of sorts. And so this guy, Moon Knight, has... Traditionally, he has, like, let's say, Captain America level powers, and it kind of waxes and wanes according to the full moon. But basically, he is a Batman that wears white.
Man, yeah, I really only know him from his interactions in the big Ultimate crossovers with Spider-Man and Daredevil. I am really excited about this. I think there's no possible way that they could be problematic with this.
Yeah, no possible way, this white guy, mercenary, running around in Egyptian, symbolism and talking to an Egyptian god, and nothing like that. And,
right.
Maybe he goes after the Egyptian people who are trying to unearth their artifacts, and he, just slaughters a bunch of Egyptian people. I mean, if Hawkeye can do it, so...
Well, and you also have to deal with the fact that he has multiple personalities as well.
Oh, yeah. Multiple personalities. Yep. Right. He has a version of dissociative identity disorder. Yeah, there are a couple of things that Marvel would be wise to clean up in regards to Moon Knight. I think one of them is just simple: make him an Egyptian actor. I think you solve a big problem with it right then and there. There is an issue with multiple personalities, but it's only because this is hard to explain. The multiple personalities reflect the attributes that the Egyptian god Khonshu is like most strongly tied to. So each personality in Mark Spector was developed to embody like an aspect of the god. So he doesn't really have dissociative personality. It's like a supernatural. It's like a psychological reaction to a supernatural event.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. Warren Ellis and Declan Shalvey had a 6-issue run on Moon Knight in 2014. That was basically 6 standalone stories. They don't have an overarching story, but I think what they do is convey the tone that this show should try to emulate, which is very Netflix Daredevil.
Yeah. This could also be a great way to kind of reintroduce, because he does fight crime on the same level as Daredevil, right?
Yeah, he fights that street level crime, but he also anything like supernatural happening around New York, that's his. Like he's the one who takes care of it.
Right. So he's a little bit of a mix between like Daredevil and a Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Daredevil and Doctor Strange. That's a good mix there. He's somewhere in between that. The last Disney Plus show announced is a Miss Marvel show. Miss Marvel is a
wait, Ariel.
Yes,
Ariel. Wait. So, are we saying that Carol Danvers is going to be Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel as well?
No, but that's a good question for the audiences who don't know. When Carol Danvers, who in this universe is played by Brie Larson, when Carol Danvers in the comic books took up the mantle of Captain Marvel, it left the Miss Marvel mantle and costume open. So a young woman who gained superpowers from this magical crystal, whatever, she gained Mr. Fantastic-like superpowers. She can stretch, she can grow her limbs, and she can do things like that. Her favorite superhero...
She can
shapeshift, yeah, to a certain degree. She's closer to Plastic Man than Mr. Fantastic, a wider range on her abilities. She's a young Pakistani-American teenager in Jersey City, so where I was born. I grew up for a certain amount of time. Her favorite superhero was Miss Marvel growing up, and so, she was inspired and took on the mantle of Miss Marvel.
Yeah, there's a beautiful interaction early on between her and Miss Marvel, because she's actually turning into Carol Danvers to like hide herself.
Right.
And Miss Marvel, like, Carol tells her like, "Hey, be yourself." I don't know. I really, really like the comics with Kamal Khan.
Yeah, so Miss Marvel would hopefully fill that Spider-Man shaped teenage New Yorker void, right, or urban teenage void in our hearts once Spider-Man is perhaps gone from the MCU forever.
Right. Plus, she has some amazing interactions with Wolverine in the comics.
Yeah. She is very much a modern day teenager with memes and quotes and talking like she's texting, but like out loud.
Right. And just her telling Wolverine when she meets him that her fanfic about Wolverine.
My fanfic with you and Spider-Man was number 3 on the fanfiction website. He's like, what? What's fanfic?
Yeah. I'm really excited about this. I'm really hoping that maybe they'll do a Sam Alexander as well.
Sam Alexander is Nova.
Nova, yeah. Because I think, especially with these streaming series, there's a real opportunity to have these smaller, more intimate, like teenage level crimes, crime fighting and superheroes being done.
Yeah, I agree. And if Arrow and Legends and The Flash can get these really obscure characters into their shows, Marvel has definitely earned that right.
Yeah. Also, just seeing her interact with She-Hulk would be very interesting.
Yeah, that'd be fun because she is going to be this show and She-Hulk look to be very lighthearted and perhaps similar in tone.
Also, are they going to be crossing over into the movies? I've been hearing from certain websites that these will cross over to the movies. I've also, know that the internet loves clickbait.
So here is two pieces of evidence that suggest that these are explicitly tied to the MCU movies. One is WandaVision, because we know that Scarlet Witch is going to appear in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And two, just all of the characters from the movies that are going to be in these shows. Loki, Randall Park's S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Kat Dennings' character, Vision, Scarlet Witch, Bucky, Falcon, Baron Zemo, Sharon Carter. They're all going to be from the films to the shows.
Right. I will also say that the idea that they introduced these as Phase 4...
After they said this is all Phase 4 over at...
Right. And that they did introduce these 3 shows as Phase 4 makes me think that there will be little connectors as far as this is concerned.
Yeah, in a weird way, I don't want too much interconnecting. I think that is comic books at its worst. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, absolutely. It gets way too convoluted if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So let us move on. We're going to pull an audible. Gosh, I'm tired. Call an audible here, Andy. We're going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier first because it's the last of the D Disney Plus series. There's a poster that came out for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We know that Bucky's hair is his luscious locks have been chopped off. He now has his classic haircut from the first Captain America movie. And the only big piece of news coming out of here is that Wyatt Russell, son of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, is going to play a character called the U.S. Agent. Andy, do you know about U.S. Agent?
Well, I've been seeing a lot of think pieces and clickbait on the U.S. Agent. I do not know anything about the U.S. Agent. Is the U.S. Agent anything like Lizzie McGuire?
If you're going by Wyatt Russell, then yes, they are both blonde.
Okay.
So they're blonde and U.S. citizens. The U.S. agent is a man named John Walker. John Walker is a former Marine who was kind of asked by the government to go to this experiment and get superhuman abilities, and he was used as a stand-in for Captain America in times where Captain America was not going against the country's interests, which, in the comic books is actually quite often, because in the comic books, like in real life, the U.S. government is terrible. So he was kind of like when Steve Rogers no longer has the mantle at times, they'd given it to John Walker. There are times when John Walker plays U.S. Agent, who, if you've seen a Captain America costume, but with the black instead of like that lighter blue, and a black, red, and white shield, that is U.S. Agent and not Captain America. And he has gone from kind of Captain America villain or anti-hero to like full-blown Avenger at times.
Okay. I'm interested in that. I mean, we really need to, keep Captain America white. So,
so my theory is that the government wants Captain America, the mantle of Captain America, to be taken up by a U.S., like an officially licensed U.S. agent, like literally like a U.S. agent of, S.H.I.E.L.D. or the military or whatever. And so they task Russell with taking the shield back so that he can become Captain America instead of Falcon and or Bucky.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I think they want a Captain America they can have more control over.
Exactly.
By the way, Wyatt Russell was really a lot of fun in Overlord.
Overlord,
right?
yes, I loved him in Overlord. Perfect example.
Yeah. This is cool to me. I think it's cool that we're not just going to have Baron Zemo. I think it's cool that we're going to have this as well. I'm down for this.
Yeah, I am too. This has the potential to be the best of all of these Disney Plus shows, at least to me. Okay, we're almost done here, guys. We have one more piece of, two more pieces of Marvel news. We know that The Eternals is coming out, and they're filming, and Gemma Chan has been confirmed to play Cersei. Cersei is a goddess, an Eternal, who in the past has revealed herself to be a Greek goddess in the past, or has masqueraded as a Greek goddess. Of course, the one Cersei, famous from the Odyssey. And we know that Kit Harington, from Game of Thrones plane, who knows nothing, Jon Snow, is going to play Dane Whitman, who is the Black Knight. And so, Andy, I'm going to just assume that since you didn't know about Moon Knight and US Agent, I'm going to assume you don't know who the Black Knight is, essentially. And
if they have Knight in their name, I'm not too interested in them.
Right. So, the Black Knight was a Marvel villain in the 60s, an Iron Man / Avengers villain, who would do the bid of the evil goddess Cersei, okay, before we found out she was an Eternal. The men in this lineage were always tied to the goddess Cersei and tied to this thing called the Ebony Blade. And they would always kind of take up this mantle and fight for evil, whatever. Dane Whitman's uncle was the last villainous Black Knight. On his deathbed, he goes up to Dane Whitman, whom Kit Harington will play, and says, "You know what? Bring honor back to our family line, and don't take this blade and fight for good." And that's who Dane Whitman is. Dane Whitman is the first Black Knight that it becomes a part of the good side, the Avengers, and that's who Kit Harington will play.
Okay, so I actually do know very little about the Black Knight, but Black Knight was in Lego Marvel's Avengers, which I played the crap out of.
Okay. I mean, he's an interesting character. He has a horse named Aragorn who can fly, who's a Pegasus. So there's that. I mean, it's kind of lame, but there's a way to do it right? Like, there's an interesting story to tell where it's like, hey, there's old magic that exists in this world. There's cursed objects and things like that, which we kind of see in Doctor Strange. And so here's this guy, and this sword goes from, male heir to male heir. And Kit Harington's character is and the one who ends up with it and is part of this, like, crazy movie of the Eternals.
And I'm so afraid this movie's going to be bloated.
After this, I'm thinking that.
I just hope that a lot of these actors do not get short shafted.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. I don't know. I don't know what this movie's going to be like. This movie's the biggest mystery to me of all the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I really want a trailer.
I think it's one of the things that we need a trailer, right? I don't need a trailer for Black Widow. I don't need a trailer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, I don't need it for that. I didn't even need a trailer for, let's say, Thor. Like, theoretically, you know what that movie's going to look like. This one, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's probably my most I'm the most anticipating this movie out of the entire. Well, I forgot. Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi. Phase 4 is going to be so interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's way out there, and it's definitely a risk.
Yeah. All right, should we jump to the last piece of news?
Yeah, just the last thing. Black Panther 2 gets a May 6, 2022 release. We don't know the subtitle for it. We don't know the plot. We don't know anything besides the fact that it's coming out on May 6, 2022.
Ariel, That's a lot, because now we know Blade is not coming out on May 6th, 2022.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Blade might be a TV show, for all we know.
Oh, but I just want Mahershala Ali to have the sunglasses and, to have to push them up after he gets them knocked off. And, it's that moment where, shit's going to hit the fan. It's going to be great.
Sure.
As long as I get that. I don't care if it's a TV show or a movie.
Okay.
If it's a TV show, it has to happen every episode, though.
Okay, yeah. Or at least every fight scene in the show.
Right. I really like the Blade movies.
They're fun. Maybe we'll do a retro review. Probably not till next year, because this year we have so many to do. All right. That is all the big news on the geeky side of things for D23. We've been recording for about an hour. We'll take 5 to 10 minutes and do the last bit really quick before we move on to homework. Andy, what do you got for me?
All right. Disney kind of revealed a few of their upcoming animated movies. They have Onward, which come out next year with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. We have Pixar has Soul, which is a Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey movie. And the big one for me, though, and it's going to tie into this week's homework for me, Raya and the Last Dragon is going to be Disney's next original animated film, and it's going to be starring Awkwafina.
Awkwafina is voicing the Last Dragon.
Oh, I thought she was voicing Raya.
No, somebody else is voicing Raya.
Okay.
So, Brian from Mad About Movies sent this to me, and I joked that, it's an Asian thing, so I will schedule my Mad About Movies took an Asian appearance late November 2020.
Right. Well, I mean, the creative team behind this makes me interested in it already, if not just the art style, because the art, like the concept art looks beautiful. I am totally cool with any kind of dragon on screen. I'm very easy to please that way. And it sounds like this could be a very kind of classic Disney-esque adventure.
Okay. Raya is being played by Cassie Steele, a half British, half Filipino actress. And then, of course, Awkwafina is playing Sisu, a water dragon who is the last dragon left and can transform into a human form. Interesting.
Oh, man, that's great. Oh, wow. November 2020. So we got this and the Eternals, back to back, man.
Printing money, man. Disney's printing money. All right, what else do we got on miscellaneous news?
Miscellaneous Disney news? I don't know. Do we have anything else? I don't
No,
think
not
so.
on the Disney front. Do we have any other?
Okay, yeah. We just got some quick news bits here. Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, has found the voice the voice of King Shark in comedian Steve Agee. If you watch the amazing show Superstore, or have seen the Guardians of the Galaxy films, you might be familiar with Steve Agee, who is really, really comedic, but his voice is just so whiny.
Yeah, it's not what you would expect.
Yeah, he was also in Brightburn, so yeah. It just tells me a whole lot that he's going to be doing King Shark. This is going to very much be a voice that does not match the character.
Right.
And I kind of love that. That is great. This is going to be a very different version of Suicide Squad than we got from the half David Ayers, half whatever the trailer studio that did the editing.
Yeah. That movie was a train wreck.
Yeah. And they also announced that Nathan Fillion's joining it too. James Gunn really likes working with the same people over and over again. Nathan Fillion had a small cameo in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. So this could just be that, or it could be something completely different. Either way, I'm looking more and more forward to this movie as we find out a little bit more about it.
Yeah, do we know when it's expected to come out? I
do not know. I think it's going to be filming real soon. Okay. Suicide Squad. No, I want the sequel.
Scheduled release of August 6, 2021.
Okay. That's a little bit away, but it's not that far away.
Sure.
And really, we need, Warner Brothers and DC need a win after Melissa McCarthy's comic book movie, The Kitchen, failed earlier.
Yeah, that wasn't good. I've heard that wasn't good. All right. Yeah. The last piece of news here is that Sony's Uncharted film has lost its director once again in Dan Trachtenberg. Dan Trachtenberg was most famous perhaps for directing 10 Cloverfield Lane, an excellent kind of genre film featuring John Goodman, there we go, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, and also Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper, wasn't that?
Yeah, he plays a voice.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, okay, Dan Trachtenberg's doing what's right for his career, I imagine.
Oh, yes. And this is the studio, of course, that is supposed to be in charge of Spider-Man.
Yeah. We'll see. Also, Dan Trachtenberg directed the first episode of The Boys, which me and Ariel both loved.
Oh, yeah, we both loved it. I loved it so much. The Boys was my favorite show of 2019. It's not. Okay. All right. That is going to be our episode for this week. Just a ton of news, and I think it was all worth talking about. And we've gone an hour, so it's definitely long enough for a normal episode here. We're going to try to get a bunch of bonus episodes out there of the last week before school starts and my brain melts. We have that.
And you also have my Road to CW Arrowverse Crisis to look forward to, because I am doing that for some reason.
Yeah, and we are also going to ramp up our YouTube content. It'll be 3 to 5 minute videos on various topics, mini lessons and quick reviews and stuff like that. So we have a video team starting up now.
Ariel, is there anything out that we can be expecting from the YouTube channel?
Yeah, so we are expecting Who Are Mandalorians is a quick video. It's a 3-minute video that we've already recorded. By the time you're listening to this, it will already be posted on YouTube. We are going to do Who is Moon Knight, Who is the Black Knight, and as some of the movies come out and we do episodes on them, we will also try to condense our thoughts into quick 2 to 5 minute reviews. Like a 5-minute review on I don't know what movie just came out, on something TV, like on The Boys. 5 minutes on The Boys, like why we like it, why we don't like it, what's good, what's bad, or perhaps even like a report card format for it. So we'll be doing those things.
Yeah. Other than that, time for homework, Ariel. What do you got for me this week?
All right. I have a movie that I just watched on called Paddington 2. I needed some nice wholesome content after watching things like The Boys and The Night Comes for Us, and even like Wu Assassins, which wasn't good. So if you haven't seen Paddington and Paddington 2, they are perfectly lovable, lighthearted, total joys. So check those out if you need something to make you smile in the dark reality we live in.
And Paddington 1 was... It's a movie where you try to explain it to people who are like, no, just give it a shot. It's a movie that's good for everybody. It's not just good for children. Yeah.
Paddington 2 is even harder to explain. My roommate came in right when it started and just watched it with us. And he's like, wait, they just know he's a bear and can talk? And we're like, yeah, just don't think about it.
Okay. It's on my list because the prison gag from the trailer with the pink jumper, the pink jumpsuits on all the prison. Paddington 1 was just a delight.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your homework, Andy?
Okay, I have seen this movie that just touched me deeply, and it also
Did you talk to
stars
someone about it,
Awkwafina.
Andy?
Yeah,
Talk to a doctor?
yeah. I really need to talk to a doctor, but not the doctor in this one because he might lie to me.
Oh.
I saw a movie called The Farewell.
What did you think about it?
It was really good. I really liked it, and it spoke to me and kind of made me want to call my grandmother.
Yeah, The Farewell is an excellent movie, and I really think that we'll see it in the headlines come Oscar season.
Yeah, yeah, and it really just showed. My wife said Rihanna gave Awkwafina her blessing when they did Ocean's 8 together, and now Awkwafina is just blowing up. She's in so much. She's going to be in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, she's going to be Shang-Chi, she's going to be Raya and the Last Dragon, she's going to be in a ton of stuff. So yeah, you get those paychecks, Awkwafina.
Yeah. All right, Ariel, where can people find you online?
Actually, I'm going to turn this on you because we're going to mess this up. Andy, where can people find you online?
You can find me online on Twitter at Hebrews Paleo.
Or you can find me at Dread Pirate Roddy. You can find us at Geek 101 Podcast on Twitter and Facebook and Patreon. Email us geek101pod@gmail.com. That's all we have for today. Class dismissed.